that's the stage I think that we're at with the Optimus robot. The software problem for Optimus is significantly, an order of magnitude potentially more difficult than the software challenge for driving FSD.
Let's go right to this particular, the bot is so incredibly exciting. They released these photos very recently. This is, on their website, and they're sharing these beautiful photos of the Tesla bot doing work, but primarily at the home. And so that's the interesting thing. They are really showcasing that the bot can be at home, interacting with all of us. And, these are the future. They feel very confident that this is going to happen. They're already posting it on their website. The bot handing packages. I don't know what this is, why the bot is staring at the car, helping it. I don't know. You arrive home and it's ready to help you, but, cooking, groceries. And so this is the bot. This particular video by John from Tesla owner Silicon Valley went viral. I think 60 million or something like that. Watch this. Let's take a look at it.
Yes.
People here today.
It's insane. It's even talking.
I have my friend John. John? Where's John?
Right here.
Oh, hello, John.
How are you? That's crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Wonderful. Where do you live in San Jose? Do you live in Albion Valley, or do you live in the Santa Teresa area?
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice area.
Where do you live?
Well, hiking I hear up there.
There is. Where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto at the current moment.
Figures. Yeah, this is awesome.
That's where they train us. That's where we get our builds, and that's where we live. So, wonderful group of people.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are. And that's something I try harder to do every day, and I hope that you will help us become that.
Well, awesome. Nice to meet you, Optimus.
You as well.
Okay, so you saw there, I was at the actual event. They had 20 robots walking around. They let you get right up close and personal, but they had, 4 or 5 people. Yes, it was human assisted. So for anybody who thought that was, not a human talking to you, that's not quite the case yet. There was some parts of it where I think my guess is that it was kind of a scripted, like AI assisted, where you press the button and it would dance. You press a button, it would walk. I don't know how that all worked, but the debate was it was human assisted. So we're going to go deeper into why they did this and what that means and why that's so important. But any thoughts of just, as we shared this? Yeah.
I think the first thought to share is that, for people who are criticizing Tesla for incorporating some human teleoperation into this whole demonstration, I would ask, well, what other company have you ever seen do anything like this, where they allowed tens of their humanoid robots to go interact with normal humans who are not your employees in an open environment like this, and in a way that is completely safe, in a way that doesn't have any fumbles or gaffes that show flaws in your hardware or your software? Like, there were no Optimus falls that we are aware of. All of these things are walking off gantry. Like, there's nothing to catch them in case they trip or tip over. And also remember that the purpose of this event was to give people a vision of what the future can look like. And so, they are doing some things in the background to try and create that experience that is the type of experience you will have one day with a fully autonomous humanoid robot. But the technology is not fully there yet. Like, that's what we're building towards. And so they want to show us, hey, this is the future that we want to make a reality. And they're using, human teleoperation to help paint that picture. But even with that being the case, like, the technical feat of being able to operate even doing teleoperations with that low latency in that high stakes of an environment, that cleanly and smoothly. That is an incredible accomplishment from a technical standpoint. The number of bots that they have operating is encouraging to see that they have this many to work with. And what you're one of the other things that you're seeing here and getting an up close and personal experience of hands on is the process that Tesla's going to be doing on the back end to gather data from real world scenarios that they can then use to train the bot to do that autonomously in the future. And it's an incredibly impressive feat of engineering and showmanship and just technical prowess all the way around. Like I said, show me one other company who has actually put on something even remotely close to that event. And you can't. It doesn't exist.
They
Here
were
in the United States or in China or anywhere.
No, untethered. They're walking. And even if it was teleoperated or not, I don't think that the walking was, but the fact that it was unwalking, untethered, and none of them fell, that was already a huge leap forward. We're going to talk about this whole concept of how people initially were so skeptical, and then all of a sudden they're so bullish and thinking, why wasn't the bot already doing everything, and why wasn't it already alive, had consciousness? And then they were disappointed that it was that this was human assisted. So one of the things that they had was you can interact with the bots. Of course, it's human assisted, but I'm going to turn off because you barely can hear him talking anyways. But I was here, and look at that, right? So now, even if it was teleoperated or human assisted, you can see that the bot can grab items, can hand it over, and I, gave me a glass of a drink, and it handed to me, and I just had that very first experience of grabbing a drink. It's like it's as human-like as possible. It's as if you handed me the drink and I grabbed it, but where its fingers were, where mine were, and I grabbed it, and it let go, and it let go, and I grabbed it. So that ability was great. Here is Ashish, and he is a Tesla bot AI engineer. I spoke to him at length when I was there, and we spent a lot of time talking. And he's saying now that it's charging right now. So if you can see, it's tethered and it's being charged. I don't know where the actual charging port is. Maybe it's the butt area. Maybe it's up here. I don't know. Maybe in the back and the neck. I don't know. But he posted this. He said, Optimus on a charging break during the 1010 event. What people missed about the 20 human-assisted Tesla Optimuses is Tesla's intent and ability to scale up data collection. Since 2022, in AI Day, they have now 20 times more. They only had one at the time. They have 20 times more to be able to do this. Language, images, audio, right? So during this one event, they had 20 humans assisted bots just grabbing data. Language, images, audio, blessed with exact data. Robotics will need to build out. They were physically interacting. They were dancing. They were handing you things. They were even playing rock, paper, scissors. Just everything they could. So that's what he said. Thoughts on what this was all about, what he's saying here?
Yeah, so the place that Tesla is right now with the Optimus project is similar to the early days of the autopilot project for FSD when they were bringing in this video data, but they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we take this video data and actually train on it to create a good automatic driver? And at that point in time, we had to employ tons and tons of human data labelers to help actually make sense of the data that was being captured by cars in the real world. And that process, because it involved so many humans, was not very scalable. And we couldn't actually achieve the performance that we have today on FSD if we had never been able to automate the things that those human data labelers were doing. And that's the stage I think that we're at with the Optimus robot. The software problem for Optimus is significantly, an order of magnitude potentially more difficult than the software challenge for driving FSD. If you look at the vision that Elon is painting here of a robot that not only can do any task, but then can interact with you like a person would and have friendly banter and be able to do, basically any task that a human can do. That is a full general AI solution. And that is super, 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 super hard. We are on the path to solving that problem, but between here and there, we have to gather a ton of data, and then we have to come up with a structured way to make sense of that data. And then we have to come up with a structured way to turn the abstract sense that we make out of that data into a compressed knowledge model that then can run on a tiny computer inside of a robot that, basically uses the same amount of power as like a low power computer. That challenge is still huge, massive. And we're still early on in the overall process of solving that. But we are doing the things that are going to be necessary. That's why we're building out Cortex. That's why we're going to be scaling up a fleet. That's why we're going to be using a large number of teleoperators for the foreseeable near-term future, is to help us get a handle on how do we take this data in and then make sense of it without having to involve humans in the loop, or to reduce our dependence on humans in the loop to as small of a number as possible as we scale up to, imagine if you had to have one teleoperator per robot, and then you're saying, okay, let's go ahead and make 500,000 robots next year. Well, that's multiple times the size of Tesla's current headcount already. And in the future, we're going to be talking about producing millions of these. And so you have to be able to wrangle that software problem in a way that is decoupled from having to have that many humans involved, between now and when we can really scale out the footprint of humanoid robots to hundreds of thousands and millions of units. But it's still the thing that is almost inevitable. To me, it feels like when Elon said, hey, a couple years from now, we're going to build the biggest battery factory in the world, and it's going to produce as many batteries as the entire world produces today. And this was back in 2014 when he announced the original Gigafactory. Now, it took much longer to actually ramp Giga Nevada up to that 30 some odd gigawatt hours a year of battery production capacity. But it happened. And now we're producing far, far, far more than that. And that's the type of track record we're talking about.
What I find interesting was just literally beginning of this year, January, 90+% of people I talk to would say that bots are nowhere near, will never be here, not ready at all, can't do anything. And at that time, I was saying, no, you can already have a bot in a factory doing pick and place for a very specific job. Of course, the next several months, just 2 months later, we had demo after demo after demo of companies showing that it can learn, it can move. Now, at this event, everybody assumed right away, many would talk to the bot and go, oh my God, the bot's alive. It's conscious. It's talking to me. Look at this range of conversation. Look how smart it is. Look how it can move and all that. And they were disappointed when they learned later that it was teleoperated. And I was already saying, no, that's teleoperated. We're not there yet. But people are now saying, well, see how silly it was. But no, there was tremendous progress because the bots were walking, they were untethered. And just the reason it can do teleoperation, there was a great post by somebody saying that assume that that's all they ever do, just this alone. You could already have a tens of billions of dollars business. You could basically sell a bot to a Starbucks, let's say, but instead of paying an employee here in the U.S. with their dollar, with their salary, you pay somebody from somewhere else, a lot cheaper. They can teleoperate and still do the job for a lot lower cost. It can lower your cost by 50%, by 75% already, just that. Okay. But it's training everything. So we're getting to the point that everything you saw, every movement that happens, it will be done autonomously. So let's cover what Frida Dwan said. Frida is an analyst from Altimeter Capital, and we've been following her because she seems to have a very good point of view. And this is what she said. Investor interest in robotics is skyrocketing, and it's easy to see why. But there's still many misconceptions, and few people realize just how early we are in this journey. While we all hope for a ChatGPT moment in robotics, I'm afraid we're not there yet. Okay, so now she breaks it down from hardware, and she breaks it down to data and AI. Hardware. Tesla Optimus stirred plenty of debate about after Robotaxi Day. But here's the thing, showcasing 20 to 30 biped robots itself is a big deal. It signals that Tesla can now produce a few robots per week with consistent quality. Their hardware production, their hardware production looks polished, and they probably mastered supply chains. So that's exactly my point. Now that you see 20 of them and you look at the hardware, this is ready to go wide, especially when we saw the hand, the third generation hand is already there. It looks like it's well on its way to being fully developed. The walking and balancing were smooth, none fell. A big deal in itself. That's crazy. There's no other company that can do this. If you ever see any demos of bots running and all that, those are cut to show you to remove the parts where they fell. Balancing while moving arms in a very different temperatures isn't easy. They had the confidence to let these robots walk around a crowd of 3,000 people. That alone should make history. That's what you were saying. No one's ever done this before. Many critics gripe about the teleoperated hand movements and speech, but remote operation with this level of dexterity and low latency, especially at this distance, is already super impressive. Crowd of 3,000, Tesla likely chose the safest backup option. Exactly. And the low level, the latency is amazing. It literally could play rock, paper, scissors with you. Like imagine that, right? The timing had to be exactly correct. It wasn't perfect, but that's how quick it can do. You saw it move very quickly. So meaning to say that even if it was human assisted, the movement of how quickly the bot can move and the precise locations of the bot is already there, which means training
and wirelessly too, like probably over some sort of a 5G network, like just fully integrated in real time.
Which means that training can go bonkers now. You can go ahead and make 1,000 of these bots today, have 1,000 teleoperators, and it's like it's already precise enough that it's worthy of training, right? Looking ahead, I believe humanoid robots could eventually cost around $20,000, $30,000 with 1,000 components weighing 150 pounds. Humanoid robots should be cheaper to build than an EV, which has 10,000 components and 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. So AI and data. There's a lot of talk about AI breakthroughs in robotics, but the reality is that we're still in the early stages. Robot models are heavily data starved. They don't have the data, and we have yet to see true world models or generalizations emerge. So this guy, Brad Porter, recently made an insightful point comparing robotics today to self-driving cars 20 years ago. I think, didn't you just say this? In the early days, progress felt rapid, but after 20 years and $160 billion invested, only one company provides self-driving rides in just 2 cities. Takeaway, early training phases bring quick gains, but as accuracy improves, progress slows down. When models are this data starved, even small data boosts can drive significant progress. So it's important not to go overly excited by early breakthroughs. That's a very good point, right? So that you see these bots, all of them doing these things, and you're going, oh my God, every company is going to be able to do bots doing everything. That's not the case. Or you see, oh, did you not know Mercedes can do level 3 autonomous in the highway? Those are the easy stuff. Those are the easy stuff. Now, they're data starved because they don't have data centers. They don't have the millions of cars gathering data. What's your thoughts on this point here?
I think it's very important to think about something like this, but I also think it's important not to draw just a straight analogy and think, oh, it's taken us 20 years, more than 20 years since the DARPA challenge to get to one not really scalable commercial solution in Waymo. But the infrastructure that we're seeing around us right now that is developing because of ChatGPT and the advances in artificial intelligence, that is a technological wave that we can piggyback on top of to do both solving FSD finally for the first time in a general scalable way. And then that will also be applicable to the Optimus humanoid robot project. And so I think it really does compress that timeline, that while the scenario that she's talking about of, robots being data starved and this being kind of a whole new and huge challenge, that is the thing that I was describing earlier, that we're at the very beginning of a big hard problem, and we are seeing some really cool progress, but it's because it's low hanging fruit. There's lots of things that you can do that feel like big steps forward because there are challenges that have been super hard to solve in robotics for so long. And all of a sudden now we have some tools that are able to show us some early indications of progress.